Have you ever been surrounded by people, yet somehow felt completely alone? You laugh when everyone else laughs, you join the conversations, you smile at the right moments, but deep down, it feels like no one truly understands the way your mind works. If you've ever wondered why genuine friendship feels unusually difficult to find, you're not alone. Many people assume that being intelligent should make social life easier. After all, if you're good at solving problems and understanding complex ideas, shouldn't connecting with people be simple too? Psychology suggests otherwise. Highly intelligent people often experience friendship differently, not because they're better than anyone else, but because they tend to think, communicate, and process the world in distinct ways. And while intelligence opens many doors, it can quietly create barriers that almost no one talks about. The first thing worth clearing up is a common misconception. Intelligence does not automatically make someone socially skilled. Psychologist Daniel Goleman, known for his work on emotional intelligence, draws a clear line between logical reasoning and interpersonal ability, arguing they're fundamentally different skill sets. Someone can solve extraordinarily difficult problems and still struggle to read a friend's mood. They can understand complex theories and still miss the subtle cues that shape an everyday conversation. A high IQ doesn't come with a guarantee. Friendship is built on empathy, active listening, and the ability to make someone else feel understood, skills that develop along a completely different track than analytical thinking, which is exactly why so many sharp, capable people feel quietly confused when relationships don't come as easily as their other achievements. Human connection simply doesn't follow the same rules as logic.
Then there's the matter of conversation itself. Picture an evening built entirely around small talk. The weather, last night's game, what someone had for lunch. For most people, that's comfortable, even enjoyable. Small talk builds familiarity. It turns strangers into acquaintances, one harmless exchange at a time. But for many deeply analytical minds, that same small talk feels draining, not because they think they're above it, but because their minds are wired to crave something with more depth. They light up around ideas, questions, the mechanics of human behavior. Where someone else might ask, "How was your weekend?" Their mind has already wandered toward what actually makes someone happy, or why are people so afraid of change? This mismatch in conversational appetite creates distance without anyone intending it. Susan Cain, author of Quiet, points out that many introverted and reflective people don't need more conversations. They need better ones. It's never really about quantity. It's about whether the exchange means anything.
There's a second, quieter struggle that almost never gets named. Highly analytical minds rarely stop analyzing, including the conversations they've already had. Did I talk too much? Did that joke land wrong? Why did they go quiet right there? While most people move on within minutes, an analytical mind can replay the same 5-minute exchange for hours, sometimes days. Psychologists call this rumination, and it rarely helps the way it promises to. Constant self-monitoring tends to amplify anxiety rather than prevent it. The more closely someone tracks every word leaving their mouth, the harder it becomes to actually be present in the moment they're living. Over time, that mental tax turns socializing from something enjoyable into something that feels like work. Meanwhile, the wider culture keeps pushing in the opposite direction, celebrating hundreds of friends, thousands of followers, a packed social calendar. But the research tells a quieter story. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar proposed that humans can only realistically sustain a limited number of meaningful relationships, an idea now known as Dunbar's number. Rather than chasing a wide social circle, many intelligent people instinctively pour their energy into just a handful of close connections. They aren't chasing popularity, they're searching for understanding, someone they can be intellectually honest with, someone who doesn't require them to soften or hide the way their mind actually works. Because real friendship costs time, attention, and emotional investment, and those resources are finite for everyone, regardless of how sharp their mind is. But perhaps the hardest part of all isn't loneliness. It's the specific ache of feeling misunderstood. Many highly intelligent people describe a strange sensation. Even in a crowded room, they feel like they're watching the world unfold from a slightly different angle. Their humor lands differently. They notice patterns others walk straight past. They get fascinated by questions that rarely make it into everyday conversation. None of this makes them better than anyone else. It just makes finding genuinely highly compatible people harder. Decades of psychological research confirm that friendship is built heavily on similarity, shared values, interests, and ways of communicating. So when someone's internal wiring runs a little differently from most people around them, building close friendships simply takes longer. Not because something is wrong, because the matching process has fewer candidates to work with. One particularly interesting study, published in the British Journal of Psychology by researchers Satoshi Kanazawa and Norman Lee, looked at this exact pattern across thousands of participants. For most people, more time spent with friends predicted greater happiness, a fairly intuitive finding. But among people with higher measured intelligence, that link weakened significantly. The researchers proposed something called the Savannah theory of happiness, that people with stronger cognitive abilities may adapt to modern life differently, relying somewhat less on frequent social contact to feel fulfilled. It's worth being careful here, though. The study never claims intelligent people don't need friends, or that they're happier alone. It simply suggests their emotional needs might be met through a different mix of inputs. And like any single study, it shows a statistical pattern, not a universal rule written in stone. Intelligence is just one ingredient among many. Personality, upbringing, culture, and mental health all shape how social life actually feels. Which brings us to the biggest misconception of all, the idea that intelligence itself causes loneliness. In reality, plenty of highly intelligent people build rich, fulfilling friendships, and plenty of people with completely average intelligence struggle socially their entire lives. The real differentiator was never intelligence. It's compatibility, communication, emotional openness, finding people who see you clearly and like what they see. Decades of research point to the same conclusion again and again. Lasting friendships are built on trust, shared experience, and mutual understanding. Not IQ, not achievement, not status. At the end of the day, almost no one remembers exactly how intelligent someone seemed. They remember how that person made them feel. So, if close friendship has always felt harder for you than it seems to be for everyone else, don't immediately assume something is broken. Maybe your mind is simply searching for a different kind of connection, one built on curiosity, honesty, and depth, instead of small talk and numbers. The goal was never to be liked by everyone. The goal is to find the few people you never have to perform for, because real friendship was never about impressing anyone. It's about feeling safe enough to finally just be yourself. And sometimes, finding those people just takes a little more time than you expected. If this video helped you understand yourself, or someone you know, a little better, that's exactly why we make these. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a like if this gave you something to think about. And if a specific part of this hit close to home, tell us in the comments. See you in the next one.